This video is for those Windows users who are unable to get an Android virtual device working in the previous video. Most likely because the Haxum Intel software was not compatible with your system, probably because you haven't got an Intel CPU. So what we need to do in that case is we need to make a slight edit. We need to download an additional system image, and we need to target a different CPU, and this video is going to show you how to do that. So again, if you've already got your Android virtual device working, be that on a Windows machine or a Mac machine, ignore this video. If you haven't got it working, let's get into it. Okay, so let's get this working. This is for people who are running Windows only and who cannot get the Haxum software to work because more than likely you haven't got an Intel CPU. This is what you need to do. Now, you're probably getting an error when you go into your Android virtual device manager. You're going to start it, and you're probably getting this error. And it'll sit there for a while, and it essentially says x86 emulation currently requires hardware acceleration. So the problem is, because we can't get the Haxum to work, because that's off, it still needs that to run this particular type of CPU. So because we can't get Haxum to work, we need to actually download an extra setting or an extra set of files so we can emulate it. So to do that, I'm going to close down Android Device Manager, go back into Window in Eclipse, and go into Android SDK Manager. Wait till that loads, and we're going to go down, and what we're going to install is the ARM EABI V7A system image. This is the other type of CPU that doesn't need hardware acceleration. So the Intel x86 does need it, and it is installed. You can see I've installed the Atom. But because we're not going to do that, we're going to use that one, and I'm also going to install the Google API one if we decide to run that down the track as well. So I'm going to install both of those. I'll just see what else is ticked. I'll make sure nothing else is installed. So literally, I'm going to have ARM EABI. That's probably the only one you need. But if you want to, you can also load the Google one as well. I'm going to install those. The standard deal there with accepting licenses. Install. Now we need to wait for those to download, and once they're configured, we can go back into our Android virtual device. We can configure it to use this other type of CPU, and you should find it'll work just fine. Okay, I'm going to pause the video here for a while until this is just about finished. Okay, so my download's just about done. It just needs to unzip it, and this will be finished and installed. Then we're going to go back into Eclipse when that's done, and we're going to reconfigure our Android virtual device. Okay, so we're done. Just confirming now. If we scroll up, we've now got our ARM EABI system image installed, so we're good to go. So I'm going to close that, go back to Eclipse. Now, possibly we might have to close this down. It may not recognize it, but I should be able to go into select my existing AVD. I should be able to edit it. I should be able to change the CPU if I can't, because there's only one option. I can either delete. I'll just quickly try deleting it and creating a new one from scratch. But it might be that we have to close it down for it to see those changes because we've downloaded new changes. I might actually do that anyway just to make sure. I'm going to close down Eclipse and just start it up again just to make sure that it sort of refines those new downloads. So I'm going to run that again. And we'll just recreate our Android virtual device. So Window, Android Virtual Device Manager. This time we're going to recreate one, just as we've done previously. Create AVD. So all the settings as before, but this time target is going to be the same, but CPU, we're now going to select the ARM. So this is the other device option. Before we only had the x86. So I'm going to select ARM. I'm going to do everything else the same. Obviously I'll leave that unticked and click on OK. Now that's going to load the different CPU that, as I said, doesn't require the acceleration. So if we run this now, this should work. So you can see we're not getting any errors. That's a good sign. We'll just wait till it actually boots up. We should get it on the screen shortly. So the worst thing about this emulator that's not sort of sped up is it takes a long time to start up. Once it's started, it's not too bad. So if you get into the habit, when you're developing, to start it up first thing, it's not anywhere near as bad. Okay, I just tried to minimize the screen, and of course it came up as soon as I did that. So you can see it is booting up now, which is good. And we'll just wait till it actually gets to the startup screen, and we know that we're good to go. Still starting up, as you can see, and I have got a minimal amount of screen real estate here. So keep that in mind, that it probably won't look quite as cramped on your system as it does on mine. It almost gets to the stage where there's sometimes where you think it's locked up, but it's just, it's still getting there. It's just taking its time. The other thing we can do, I'm not sure that I can access that while that's loading. You might also want to look at these settings here. Memory options. You might want to look at reducing that to 768 so it uses less RAM. I've heard that can be an issue sometimes. So certainly if you get any problems, try reducing that RAM size down to something smaller. But hopefully it'll just work for you. Okay, we're back and it's actually booted up now. So it took, I can't remember, I didn't see the time on the clock, several minutes to boot up. So make sure you do allow plenty of time. And you can see when I'm clicking things, it's a little bit slow to boot up. It's probably worse because I'm running this on a virtual device as well. But it will get the job done. And that's all you really wanted to do. You want to be able to do some basic testing to make sure that your app's working. And this will do that. Okay, so that's the emulator. So there we go. That's the emulator running. And you should be good to go. So if you've got any other issues, by all means, let me know in a discussion. And I'll sort it out for you.